right, so it's been a while, but we'll see if we remember how to do this.
Yeah, we'll try.
Shouldn't be too bad. We both do a gentle amount of talking on a daily basis. My name is Taylor.
And I'm Cage.
And this is the Cask Effect Podcast by Brothers in Whiskey.
Yeah. You can't see mine. We're wearing on shirts today.
Real hard today.
Yeah.
And it's been a while since we did one of these together.
Right.
Got plans to knock out some singulars in the future. But gotten together to start out this new year, and we're gonna take a pretty awesome ride through some pretty cool bottles.
Yeah, we've got some that we've one that we've held on to for a while. Haven't had a chance to try it yet. Another that we have tried, and we're happy to revisit again. But yeah, just enjoying some good stuff on this early Burns weekend. But fully in the Scottish spirit this weekend for sure.
Not wearing kilts right now, though.
Not wearing kilts.
We thought about it.
It's too cold. I'm sorry to say, but it's a little too cold.
You can wear shorts underneath it sometimes. But yeah, we're inside. It's nice and toasty in here, so not too worried about it. But where do you want to start? Should we just start with the guy?
Yeah,
All
mean, we've put it off long enough.
No joke there. So where we're starting, and still got the box. We're a little bit of insert derogatory for Ardbeg here. We're finally going to be trying the Ardbeg Galileo.
Yeah, one that we've been excited to try ever since we happened across it totally on accident, and that was maybe 6 years ago now. I mean, it's been a hot minute since we bought that one.
Yeah, this is everybody else is doing their 10-year look backs on social medias right now, and I'm looking back to the day where we bought this bottle on a whim. This is my first higher ticket price Ardbeg that I ever got outside of the main offerings, and there's a whole shtick to why, but the joke, it's Galileo, is I wanted to wait until I had my own space, pun intended,
right,
to open it. And since my wife and I bought a house middle of last year, that was on purpose, we finally got around to doing it, but you moved away, so that made it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, every time we've had an intention to open it, something has gotten in the way. But it's been okay though. It's been something that's hanging around to look forward to. So we're finally doing it. It's like once we open this, it's finally done. Now we're gonna find something else to have. But no, it's exciting to finally do that. And there's really nothing about the bottle itself that's just so incredibly special. It is a special bottle, but it's not like a 30-year-old specialist or anything. It's kind of a gimmicky thing that Ardbeg did, but it was like you said, it was one of the first really kind of cool, unique bottles. One that has long since been discontinued, if you would say that as a one-time offering. But yeah, it's got a really cool backstory as far as what the bottle actually was, and we had been talking about it. You had even made the comment several times, if I ever find one of these, I'm snagging it. Forget the price. I want to buy one of these. And then we just happened to find one of them, totally on accident.
Well, we were at, was that Midtown Cork Dorks?
Yep, Cork Dorks in Nashville.
In Nashville. And we were looking around, going on a hunt. If you followed us for any amount of time, you know that the liquor market in Alabama is trash, to be very PC about it.
So we spent our early days traveling through Tennessee, shopping for bottles. In fact, our first episodes were kind of following up after we had gotten back on a trip and we were opening some of them up. So yeah.
And we get there and we just on a whim got to chatting with one of the guys at Cork Dorks, and I had his name written down for a long time. And we were just we kind of looking for special bottles, and he was like, I think I saw a special bottle in the back room when I was back there.
Well, and not only that, so the bourbon folks know this. You go into a store and you look at the owner and say, all right, what you got in the back? There was this unspoken thing, the stuff on the shelves are for your casuals, and then you'd ask what's in the back, but it got to be such a thing that just roll your eyes at it and say, okay, look, buddy, I've got nothing in the back. You're not just gonna just because someone asked for it. It's no longer if everyone's trying it. So we kind of had to build up beyond like, hey, we're looking for special bottles in the back. We had to specifically kind of sell, look, we're looking for very weird scotch. We're not looking for your Buffalo Trace in the back.
Which sets us apart, especially in like Tennessee, Kentucky area, because everybody's looking for Buffalo Trace.
And that's kind of why I think we kind of got him a little bit. He was and he said, all right, now these are people.
Ardbeg. Like, okay,
it's a different level.
Weird Ardbeg back there. He walks back there, and he was looking for a different bottle. I think it was the one that you ended up getting.
Well, I think we'd said like we're looking for committee releases.
Yeah, committee releases,
and which he knew with the little tag on it, the little red, stamp, and so I think that's he went back looking for committee bottles, and
he was like, I found this one in the corner, and I was like, there's no way. Like I was like, that's like the specific bottle I was like wanting to find.
Yeah, he rolled out with these two. He's like, I found these two back there, and we're both just kind of looking at it like, seriously? Yeah, you just happen to have these like 10-year-old bottles that are extremely desirable just sitting back there? Okay.
So we much to what Cage said, neither one of us asked what the prices were.
Threw them in the cart.
Yeah.
Said, all right.
Put them in the cart, grabbed a couple extra bottles. Had to hitchhike a little bit on the way back home, but not really.
So you walked away with the Galileo. Yeah. I walked away with the Dark Cove committee release. We each grabbed a pretty cool. We haven't opened mine either yet. That's one that's been waiting.
It's another very cool bottle that will one day. It'll be when Cage buys a house on its own Dark Cove. But yeah, so I will open this, which I will say, even just pulling the foil off of it a second ago felt really weird.
It's
because I've painstakingly kept this like not hidden. I did my best not to hide it from myself. You can see my whiskey and books cabinet behind me in my office.
Which, by the way, this is the first time we're showing this off.
This is. I think there might be one episode that I did by myself. I don't know if I've got it posted yet as of us recording this. Right. Where I might have had part of it behind me, but I don't think I was done assembling them just yet. And it would the office space definitely wasn't dialed in yet.
Yeah. So this is like the third maybe iteration of a bar between you and me that we've had in videos. We keep moving.
We've been in his office. We've been in my previous office. We've been in either one of our living rooms. It gets. It'd be nice to have a place to just do it.
Yeah, we need a consistent space. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, I've got ideas. I've got ideas for wall mounting stuff and getting good stuff. So I'm gonna pop this cork. Oh no, it would. So that's one of the things. You always got to worry about that. I'm going to let Cage talk about one of the other bottles while I go and figure this out.
Okay, so we'll talk about one of these?
Yeah. So you go ahead and talk about you, because you were saying you had some stuff you wanted to talk about.
Cool, yeah.
I'll be quick.
So he's going to go fix the cork. No, that's I think our first broken cork on video. Unfortunately, with these older bottles, with actual cork, that's one of the risks you run into, especially if you don't regularly, what they say is wet the cork, turn the bottle up, get the cork wet. So that it kind of stays whole. Otherwise, it can dry out and become a little brittle and fall apart. And unfortunately, that's what happened there. But as Taylor alluded to, one of the other bottles we're going to talk about today is this Bruichladdich, this Black Art, not Black Art, but the Blackadder Raw Cask. It's one we've talked about previously, but we're revisiting it, frankly, because it's one of the bottles in his collection here that we feel best accompanies the Galileo that we're opening today, other than maybe a different Ardbeg to compare the flavor profiles. But this is one we like to revisit any of the Blackadder line, simply because of the kind of the unique approach that is taken to bottling these and presenting the whiskey. And while some call this a bit of a gimmick, if you're familiar with the Raw Cask line from Blackadder, it is supposedly, as the name implies, more of a raw expression of what that whiskey is. It has bits of charcoal, bits of the wood staves down in the bottle. It's got a bit more of an oily finish on it. It's supposed to appear as if it was drawn straight from the cask. No filtering whatsoever. Eliminate chill filtering entirely, any kind of filtering, charcoal, anything at all. It's supposed to be just truly raw out of the cask. In reality, that's not really how it's produced. These bits are typically added after the fact. It is still more of an assemblage of components rather than truly a raw pull from a cask. But regardless of that, it still, bottom line, comes through as a very unique expression, being that you get more of a richer, heartier character than you might get from your other typical filtered whiskey. Again, chill filtered or not, any whiskeys typically run through a charcoal filtration at minimum, just to pull out the bits from the stave. But despite any gimmicky element to the production of it, we both love the expression itself and how much character and body it gives outside of what you would expect from a normal bottling of a whiskey. So we've got several different bottlings from Blackadder. This one is the Bruichladdich version, which I think for both of us is probably our favorite of the ones we've tried. But we're going to go ahead and open it up again today and just pair it with the Galileo. That's about perfect timing with my little spiel. So you've now wrecked the cork, but
I got it over there and I pulled my corkscrew out. Something I don't ever use on whiskey, as you may imagine, and I just slowly moved my way into it, just slow rotations, and it was pressurized enough that it made a fizzing noise as I broke through to where it was ready for it, and as I pulled up out, it disintegrated in my all over my dining room table.
There you go.
So I've got it here. I'll keep that. Who knows? May cast that into some epoxy at one point in time and be like the only cork I've ever busted. But if that's not a good reason to encourage people to either keep corks or change out to synthetics, which Cage is far better at than me, then I don't know what is. But obviously, if you're trying to keep one, regardless of whether or not you believe in neck pours and bottle aging, that's very real, because if it had disintegrated into the bottle, we would have had to have filtered it, and that would have just done a lot of excess exposure for the actual spirit itself.
Right.
And generally, I mean, it's just not the way you want to enjoy a bottle. If you do get to enjoy it after that, because I imagine there's some funk going around in most corks nowadays. So
yeah, that is the truth.
But I got it figured out, and I've got extra corks. In fact, I might have a Brothers in Whiskey cork.
Yeah, I did
that'll fit. Right, it
should.
There.
Yeah, that's something that I ought to do something on at some point for our podcast, is talking about that with corks, because that is something I've started to do, is get synthetic corks. You can buy synthetic corks in bulk from restaurant supply stores, and they're synthetic, they're well made. You can even buy some that are solid rubber and replace them or place them in place of the original corks and help with the longevity of them. So that is something I do for most of the whiskeys I have, especially those that I don't drink very often, because I've broken several corks. And
you have a lot of Bruichladdich, and
Bruichladdich is known for having corks.
Known for cork mishaps. Here's an old Ardbeg.
Okay.
I don't know if I'll use this one, but
for now,
it will fit for the time being. But yeah, so this I have a Bunnahabhain box, and it is to the brim every time I finish a bottle, and as well as the like mass-produced ones. It might be a tight fit, but might fit. Just any of those, and you just keep them, and it's exactly for this.
Yeah, it's good to have a backup always.
Even if you don't keep the bottle, I know there's some guys who like to keep bottles. I got a couple bottles that I've kept, but if you don't keep the bottle, keep the cork. Just keep the cork. It doesn't make you like one of those winos that likes to keep them up in like a glass thing on the wall, so you don't have to worry.
This is purely functional, and not
decorative. Purely. This is kleptomania with intent and practicality.
There you go.
Because otherwise, I don't know what I would do. I'd probably end up just taking a cork from another bottle that I didn't
care as much about.
It was close enough, and we'd probably just hammer out the rest of that bottle. That's probably what happened.
Yeah.
So. Trying to find that one with our logo. It would be on the bottom if I was lucky. Oh, Is that real cork?
I don't remember.
It would fit. I might have just soaked it a little bit.
Well, you have to force it in.
Yeah. But that's for another day. There's another Ardbeg cork. Nice. Fantastic. Options. Get yourself options, kids. So let's go ahead and open this guy up. I let my beautiful wife have the first sniff, but being that she is in her current state, she did not
want to partake.
In fact, partake. How healthy of a pour would you like? Take you to space or not?
Not quite to space.
All right.
That's a good one right there.
Fantastic right there. All right, so you talked a little bit about raw casks and like the thing going on there with the reality of raw cask bottlings,
right?
Where yes, to some extent it is kind of gimmicky, and may not be exactly as described, which is
right. But if you get past if you don't get so tied up in the exact verbiage and quote unquote gimmicky nature of it, it's still a unique way of expressing the whiskey regardless. It still has an authentic feel and flavor to it that you might not get otherwise. So if you haven't tried one, I'd recommend it regardless.
Definitely, yeah. It was an absolute blessing to have that as wedding gift.
Yeah.
So it was a fantastic bottle. Got to share it with a couple of my very, very good friends the day of, and most of those were Army buddies. But yeah, so back to Ardbeg Galileo. Ardbeg Galileo is this turn of the century, again, if we're talking about sort of gimmicky stuff, turn of the century experiment that Ardbeg apparently took place in that involved the space station, correct?
Yes, so they sent up some barley to kind of determine how zero gravity, how that environment affected the aging of that barley and the growth of it and everything. It was to, again, just explore that effect, the effect of gravity, the effect of weather, things, how that differs and how it changes the barley up. Now, the gimmicky nature of that is that this whiskey is not made with that.
But there were murmurs at the time where that's why the bottling, or really it was the aging and the distillation process happened with this stuff the same time that they were doing.
Yeah, and this was bottled as more of a celebration of that experiment. So it's not space age whiskey, which would be awesome if it was, but it's simply a whiskey released to celebrate that experiment in space and the market. Regardless, it is still bottled in 2012, so it's still a 13, 14-year-old bottle of whiskey. That's then of an older vintage than even that. I think, what was it, 99 is when it was distilled, is that right?
Yes,
right.
99.
So it's a 90s bottling, which for Ardbeg is, or it's not a 90s bottling, but a 90s distillate for Ardbeg is impressive. Those of you who know kind of the history of Ardbeg, the history of the distillery, anything 90s from them or older is kind of hard to come by, just with how the eyelid distilleries were reopening and developing and changing.
The resurrection there.
So that alone makes it unique aside from the story behind it.
I'm reading the back of the bottle right now. I'll just start from the top. Space, 1999. Now, Ardbeg has always been right up there, having been voted best Scotch whiskey in the world 3 times on the bounce. But in October 2011, Ardbeg crafted molecules went one giant leap further, out of this world and into orbit. On Earth, we created the Ardbeg Galileo, a celebration of our first ever experiment in space. So they did it back in '99, but then when the bottling ended up coming around, which is why there's like the gimmick about it being like, well, maybe we used some of the space aged, space grown barley in there, and it's like, okay, but did you?
Yeah.
which is the really important thing. But it's nice. It's a very, very cool looking bottle. All my friends who maybe in the Huntsville area, or like Space Force, you guys might dig this bottle pretty good bit. But just started their distillation in '99 and bottled in 2012. But I guess October of 2011 is when that experiment, like 12-year experiment, sort of concluded. And so they were able to be like, oh, very cool. But obviously, if it was distilled in '99, there's no way that any of the space age stuff was actually in there.
Right.
So I will tell you, it's right out of the nose. She didn't think that it was coming off too big, but like I'm sitting, I don't know if it's because I've waved it past my face or because I've wiped it on my arm, but like I can smell it, and it's very characteristic Ardbeg.
Yeah, it's got some elements that are a little different for what I'm used to, but the caveat to that is that Ardbeg has had a lot of experimental changes since this was done in 2012. Much. So when we say it's not like, or when I say it's not what I'm used to, it's simply because Ardbeg has done kind of so much crazy stuff lately. In terms of the just kind of underlying profile, it's peat, it's smoky, it's Isla. That's pretty clear and apparent, but it doesn't have kind of some of the robust characteristics that a lot of the newer stuff have in terms of, you've got the barbecue whiskey they did, you've got like the rum finish, you've got the different wine finishes. So it doesn't have that. And I don't know what cask this was aged in, but it doesn't scream to me like it's a finished cask. Probably isn't one. It may just be a traditional bourbon cask aged.
Probably with that last century barley.
Yeah, exactly.
I always got to watch myself. Anybody who knows me knows that I don't always like the tasting and nosing notes that they put on the bottle.
Right.
Because I think that, especially with newer, I won't use the word connoisseur like very stoutly, but people who are really getting into it, it's a good way to sort of assign what you're smelling and like getting an idea of what your palate may or may not include. But I think it also can get kind of like, I don't want to say hive mindy, but
yeah, no, it can.
It influences you maybe more so. It's like, yeah, you maybe, if you're new to it and you're like, I don't really know how that smells, but then like you look at the bottle and the bottle's like toffee. It's like, you may not have a good idea what toffee smells like. Now it'd be a good idea if you could just like be in a room that had like all those things. Like that might be something fun to like get some like vacuum sealed Ziploc bags or something where we go in and we've got, a little toffee, a little bit of shortbread, just all floating around in different little bags,
right,
so that you could just give it a little sniff.
Yeah, right. No, and yeah, you're exactly right with not letting certain descriptions kind of taint your own interpretation of it. I mean, I like to not look at the flavor notes or nosing notes until after I've like already done it myself, and I want to try to assign my own thoughts to it. And even then, there's no right or wrong answer. That's something we always say. It's whatever it smells or tastes like to you, and that's not incorrect because everyone's perception is different. But yeah. So did this one have any specific notes that it talked about?
I told you I wasn't going to read them. I tried. I got down to it, and then I turned my eyes off.
Okay.
They may have been open, but my eyes were not.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll talk about a little bit about it in the glass. It's a beautiful amber color.
Yeah, it's got a really nice amber color.
A little darker than most Ardbegs.
Right.
Kind of gives me the same color, like especially with the light bleed through, is like what I get from like some of the higher age. Obviously, being a 12-year-old,
right,
is going to be a little bit more than I think most Ardbeg offerings are. What, 6?
Yeah, I mean it's usually sub 10, and it definitely has a darker color that you would expect out of a slightly older bottling. Yeah, it's got a beautiful like toffee caramel color to it, almost that amber, but not so dark, and it doesn't have like the red tints you get from like a wine cask age. So that's why I kind of wouldn't really pick that up.
Which is weird because I was going to say it looks like Oogie, and Oogie's a sherry finish.
It is, yeah.
So I'd be curious if you know anything more about this bottle that we don't. Feel free to drop something down in the comments, links, anything like that. And
it could be a sherry cask because a sherry's not going to be as stark, bright, vivid red or colored as like an actual like a wine or something. If someone does a Cabernet finish or something. kind of a different take, but it does have some sweet notes off of it. I do have a little like some fruity notes coming, so it could be.
The box has more information.
Does it? Okay.
In fact, the box, I won't read all of it for you, but it walks through the entire experiment.
Okay.
On the back of the box.
Nice.
Let me see. Dr. Bill was working at Ardbeg at this point in time, so that gives you an idea. And apparently he was basically keeping a blog going on ardbeg.com.
All right.
About what was going on. Okay, to celebrate this research initiative, please welcome a very unusual and very limited Ardbeg. At its heart is the hallmark 1999 Ardbeg, which has been matured in classic ex-bourbon barrels,
Okay.
and some ex-Marsala casks from Sicily. This results in a deep, golden, rich, and smoky Ardbeg, bottled at a strength of 49%, which I think is a shade higher than most of the standard bottlings.
Yep.
Non-chill filtered for extra texture and mouthfeel.
Nice.
Rehire the person who wrote the stuff on this box.
Yeah, mouthfeel. There you go.
Mouthfeel's got me. If I don't say, we should keep a mouthfeel counter.
Yeah.
I'll edit that in.
Yeah.
In post. We can do that. We should come up with gimmicky words that you and I both say, and just keep like a little tally up in the corner. So,
but the cask aging is kind of spot on. So it did use a Marsala cask. Didn't say how many years in the Marsala cask though, or how many months or anything.
I imagine it would just be a finish.
Probably.
So, just standard finishing time.
Right. So, but yeah, no, and that sounds right on point. And it does kind of have your standard heat coming off of it, if you will, the kind of the alcohol note off of it. Yeah, a lot
for
of
me having this bottle for almost 6 years, I'm coming to the realization I did not spend a lot of time looking at it, probably because I am but a weak man. But
that's fair.
I'm like 49%. That's a little higher than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would have said it more about the 46% if I was just going to guess off the top of my head. I know a lot of like Bruichladius cores around 50%.
Yeah, they're consistent.
Pretty consistent there, but Ardbeg usually comes in a little under that.
Beautiful legs on this one.
Yeah, it's got good legs.
Yeah, a little rocket in a cup. Yeah, nice and spicy.
Yeah, no, it does have a spicy note. It does, again, it has a light, to me, like a light nose on it. It's not very heavy, which again, I think it's because it's not finished very heavy. It's got more of that classic bourbon cask finish, and it's got the notes you'd expect off of that. Sugary, like vanillas, and some nuttiness to it, but very light nuttiness, a light fruitiness to it. Be a lot of that Marsala too. I'd pick like light fruits, fleshy fruits, nothing too heavy. Again, it's very balanced.
Yeah. There's just almost like just on the backside of it, I get something that's a little candied, but nothing crazy.
Yeah.
For anybody here who's been to Buc-ee's, this is not a paid sponsorship, but their honey or what were the glazed pecans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I get something like that. There's this deep, rich nuttiness, but there's a little bit of, like I said, like a candy sort of sweet.
Yeah, there is.
It's going to come from that Marsala barrel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's like a little sweet tang on it that I can pick up. But yeah, no, it noses well. Like you said, it's got good legs on it, so it's got a good body to it.
Got into the habit of nosing one nostril at a time.
Yeah.
I used to just go hard into it, just bury that nose.
I kind of roll it.
Yeah.
Roll it under my nose there. Pick up one and the other.
In the words of the great nose, you got to come in. Hello.
How are you?
How are you? I'm fine.
Yeah.
And just kind of get it like that. And especially with, and really anything like higher than a 45, 46 area. Like I really feel like if you don't want to get just assaulted by like that peppercorn, like sort of sharp hotness to it, then you kind of have to temper and slow down your experience getting in there. But I think at 30 minutes in, we should probably have a sip of something.
Yeah, let's try it.
So, Slaja?
Slaja.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah, that's solid.
The silence after the sip. I was just, that popped in my head just now.
Yeah.
It's like that's the sign of a good whiskey, when there's a moment where like nothing happens.
Right.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That is good.
Just the right amount. Just like a little bit of pepper on the palate, just specifically on the back side. Getting a little bit more, just because of the heat. There's a little more of a pepper sort of flavor, and then I do get like a toffee, but it's not really like a sweet toffee.
Yeah.
There's like a little bit of a bitterness of it, but the bitterness gets covered up by that pepper. But the front end of that is just fantastic. Like it's nice, it's creamy, just coats the entire mouthfeel.
Well, to me, honestly, if I were to place it, I'd place it as like a slightly more mature, full-bodied, like classic Ardbeg.
Yeah. Like
an Ardbeg 10 or something, because it doesn't have any special finishing. It doesn't have any special barley or anything to it. It's not, it's bottled more in celebration of an event, not in celebration of an experimental production. Yeah. But it's older than standard Ardbeg, and it's got a higher proof than standard Ardbeg. So it's like you get your classic Ardbeg character and just dial it up to 11 or 12 here.
It's like getting almost like a barrel proof, just a little, maybe slightly closer to a barrel proof.
It's a little closer to just like drawing a glass out of the barrel itself and saying, all right, I'm going to try more of the full true picture of what Ardbeg is. Because there's nothing about it that's that's a different take. It's just dialed up a little bit, but that's good though, because base Ardbeg is so good as it is and consistent. Like that's a good way for Ardbeg, I feel like, to celebrate just like them experimenting at what their core is, just their foundation. They're gonna give you something that's turned up a little bit more. Totally. So I like that.
Totally agree. It's funny, it's probably because I had it earlier this week. The very center of this little flavor journey, it tastes like and bear with me, my wife made roasted asparagus with like Kerrygold salt and pepper earlier this week. The center of this tastes just a little bit like not really bite, but like that central, like focal flavor from asparagus, without all the weird smelling pea and all that aspect of asparagus otherwise. So that's really quite tasty. Which, like you said, it's not quite to the finish and character that you get from like Oogie or Corey, because those are going to have a little bit more aggressive finishes, stuff that's going to sort of pull against the classic Ardbeg feature. But it's I think you said that quite well. Cranked up. It's Ardbeg 10 cranked up to 12.
Yeah, basically
12 years.
Yeah, pretty much. So, but I mean, again, there's nothing wrong with that at all. That's great, because we love that. And this is just a special version of it. But I mean, I'm impressed. And from what you're talking about with the flavor profiles, it's probably just a lot of that earthiness, that kind of vegetation that's coming through, from the peat and everything that you're getting, along with that pepper spice, that roasted element to it, from again the smokiness. So, I mean, just very classic but very good. Yeah.
All right. And now that we've gone into it, we've had a couple sips of it. Now I feel confident reading the tasting notes and the nosings on the bottle. So the nose cone is spicy toffee, tropical fruits, and a puff of soot. Okay. So like they're very much intending it to be very palatable, very light, very approachable with the nose.
So we're pretty right on that.
Yeah,
I feel like.
Yeah.
Okay.
My shout out to my wife. She said it wasn't very smoky. So I was like, cool, she's got it. The taste, salty yet sweet, with cream and a burst of smoking apricots. I need to have more apricots. I don't feel like I've got a good placeholder.
Yeah, and a lot of the whiskeys we have an apricot flavor.
Well, it's because of whoever. It's probably because we have a lot of the same whiskeys, and a lot of those people are being mentored and apprenticing with the same people, so they're probably getting a lot of the same flavors. They're probably eating in a lot of the same places. Yeah. One like subtle sort of thing to think about is, like the diet of the average American, even the average American who likes Scotch, is going to be in most ways very, very different than somebody in the UK.
Absolutely.
So like they're getting apricots. I don't have apricots enough purely out of
our diet just doesn't consist of apricots.
We live in the southeastern U.S., man. Yeah. I've run into apricots a handful of times a year, maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, what was funny is I think that one of the whiskeys I think that I just so easily took to in terms of being able to just pick out flavor was their barbecue one, because we're in the southeastern U.S., so we have a lot of barbecue, so we take that and it's like, dang, bacon, pork, charcoal smoke, like we're just firing it off because that's what we have more of versus some of the especially a lot of the seaside elements that they talk about. We're just not coastal.
Hey, you might get a little bit more of that. So where you're at.
True.
So you might find I'm not really a coastal guy, so like I don't both in habit and leisure, but as well as where I live.
So like raw oysters are in my diet more now than they were in the past because where I'm at now, and a lot of that brininess correlates directly with a lot of these Islay scotches that you pick up from like a raw oyster.
Hot take. I'm glad you moved. Now we get to have like varied takes on our flavors. Sure, because like I think probably the last decade or so we've both been pretty similarly located in terms of
right, and now we're kind of going in slightly different directions with our locations. So I'm getting experiences with flavors and scents and environments that you're not, and vice versa. So it might shift a little bit. It might be interesting to see how we may try something and assign totally different characteristics to it based on where we're at. So.
There's your silver lining for your best friend moving away.
Yeah, but that's yet another reason to just highlight the importance of identifying your own unique take on whatever the flavor profile is or the nosing profile is on a whiskey, because it is influenced by so many elements. Yeah, it's not about your knowledge or about your ability to assign a word to a scent. It's simply just how you connect to it. Yeah. Because it's totally dependent on where you're at in your own life experiences. So there's no right or wrong answer to that.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty indicative even in our own individual journeys with whiskey. Because I know like you and I kind of started in very similar places, and then I think we're still like pretty close on a lot of our things. But I know you take more to bourbons than I do. Mm-hmm. And with me, like I'm really big on botanical stuff. Like I think I drink a fair bit more gin than you do.
Yeah.
I seek out a lot more gin than if you had told me 10 years ago, I wouldn't have believed you. But a lot more gin. But then I also like really salty, briny, sort of meaty scotches. With maybe a little bit more aggressive of a palate on those. Yeah. Where I mean, I think you still sort of float in those.
Yeah, I mean, I love gin. I love the deep meaty scotches, but I'll go for like a rum cask finish very often. I don't like rum straight, but like a rum cask whiskey or something. Right, no, I'm good. but I'll go for rum cask stuff, and it's interesting because I don't really have a sweet tooth. I don't really eat a lot of sugary things or dessert things or whatever, but I do like a sweeter whiskey. I do enjoy that. Yeah. I think it just kind of depends on what I'm having it with, though. Like a lot of times, if I'm pairing a whiskey with a meal or something, for example, I don't necessarily want the whiskey to overpower the meal. If I'm eating meat and my whiskey is meatier than the meat, that to me that's not always the best pairing. But and sometimes
I've never had that problem.
Sometimes
you make your meat meatier.
You make them, yeah. Depends on what kind of meat you're eating, but still though, it just depends on what I'm pairing it. I think too, but yeah, there's definitely some unique things that I may prefer in one way versus you preferring something else, and and that's great. That lends different perspectives. So yeah.
Well, it makes it so we're also not double buying everything.
Right too.
Yeah.
I try your stuff, you try my stuff.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit more sharing, which is really what whiskey is about.
Well, that's the best way to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I don't find myself pulling down a bottle nearly as often now that I only enjoy it by myself.
Yeah.
Like that's not really what I have it for. It's I
visit you and just open up like
all of them. Yeah, like finally. But yeah, no, it's I drink it because I enjoy it, not for the effect it gives on me. It's not about getting tipsy or anything. That's not what it's about. But it's for me, it's sharing the experience of it, which is hard to do by yourself. But yeah.
There is a guy I follow on Instagram who said something to that effect, and he was going through, and the entire video had a couple different ideas in it that maybe I didn't completely resonate with, but he ended it with the line, "Men don't drink whiskey for the buzz, they drink it for the pause."
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I mean, when I'm just drinking by myself, not in a sad way, when I'm just drinking by myself, like the experience is yeah, very, very, very more like a very like solitary, like vindicating sort of one. It's like, I'm here for this, and like this is something familiar and comforting, maybe.
Right.
But when you share it with like somebody else, like I may have this bottle, like a pour from this bottle, like a month from now, and if I haven't seen you, I'm gonna think about when we sat and had this bottle.
Right.
And like that is, it's kind of like the guy way of getting working through stuff, and like just sort of like pulling back and relaxing, and like I said, like taking a second just to like live in the world you're surrounded by.
Yeah, well, and I agree with that, because a lot of times if I'm wanting a drink of something and I'm in the middle of doing other things, I won't go for whiskey. I'll go for something less impactful, because like to me, yeah, it's not about it's not just a drink, it's an experience. And I'm not going to grab a glass of whiskey while I'm, in the middle of, cleaning or just doing something that's arbitrary. I'll grab one when I'm ready to sit down and almost like meditate over it. Like if I'm cooking, I love to have a glass of whiskey while I cook, because I love the fact that I'm sitting there, I'm experiencing flavors and smells as I'm cooking.
Yeah.
And I'm also getting to experience them with the whiskey, and it's like it's a meditative experience almost. Like if you really enjoy cooking, it's not simply just an act of feeding yourself, but it's an act of you're creating something. You're combining flavors, and you're almost creating something artistic, because that's really what cooking is. It's an artistic expression if you choose for it to be so. Well, so is whiskey, and they go very well together. Pairing food and whiskey is a very big thing. Just like, and if I'm reading a book that I want to sit down and kind of study over, I'm going to have a glass of whiskey, because I'm gonna think and enjoy that and connect those experiences. To me, a good whiskey, if you treat it as such, will kind of activate your mind. You can really sit there and think about it and give it so much more character than it simply has just being a liquid out of a bottle. But you can assign so many things to it and think through it, and to me that's important. That's a big part of it. So yeah, I don't find myself doing it just for the act of like that. It's
I think that's absolutely true. My wife and I share a fair bit of the cooking in the house, but as you so adequately noticed, or aptly rather noticed, when we walked out into the garage, is I have a bottle of Dalmore 12 in my toolbox.
Yeah.
And it's just like that bottle. It's just like like it's intricate enough, being a 12-year. Dalmore is fantastic,
mm-hmm.
but it's not such an experience that it pulls me out of what I might be doing out there.
Yeah.
Like you said, sort of like it supplements the experience that you're having otherwise with cooking, or like me, love me or hate me for it, I've been known to have a couple glasses of whiskey while doing woodworking. Like I got power tools out there, and you covered the glass and you saw something, and you just kind of push on. But it very much gets me, like a little bit of music in the background, like working on the woodworking stuff, and a glass of scotch.
Yep.
Like that puts me in a great mood and just in a great mindset too. So
yeah, no, exactly. Well, and like I'll even go so far as to kind of, as I'm cooking, even if I'm not eating the food at the moment, but I'll pick a whiskey that's similar in profile to like maybe what I'm making. So if I'm making fish, I might pick something like a coastal Bruichladdich, that's something a little lighter, maybe light and briny. If I'm making barbecue, I may go for more of a heavy Ardbeg. If I'm making something sweeter, I might go for more of a bourbon and pair that,
Makers.
So it kind of makers if you really want sweet. So yeah, it aids in the experience there, and then also when you're eating, or I'm like you, I'll have a glass when I'm working on something in the garage, and I may have something more, I don't know, more simple, like I don't know, working man's kind of approach to it, just like a classic thing, like not like you said, not overly complex. Yeah. So not overly complex, because I don't want to do the whiskey injustice by not giving it the attention it deserves almost. Like you have a special bottle, it's got a special history and a story, and it was made a certain way. It deserves your attention. It deserves your appreciation for what it is. You're doing it an injustice by just throwing it back for the effect of it.
I totally agree. Yeah, and you and I had a conversation about this the last time we tried recording an episode. About technologies and insert derogatory here. But there are several bottles. These three that we've got here being three of them that I don't open or pour unless I've got either specific company or a reason to. So the only two instances in which I pour the Blackadder, which was, like I said, a wedding gift, is when he comes, when my wife feels like it, and the only time I'll drink it otherwise will be on my anniversary. Yeah. So that's the only time I'll open that one. My Infinity bottle, the only time I ever drink from it is right after I've added something to it. More often than not, though, it's like one little drink for me. I might open it up when somebody comes in. So since we're opening a new bottle, I'm going to be putting it in there. Yeah. And so that's sort of like our reason to sort of try it, to see how the character has changed. Yeah. To see how my personal whiskey journey has gone is basically demonstrated in this bottle. Yeah. Yeah. Which is a ton of fun, because sure, the list is a pain to keep up with. Yeah. But I can look back fondly at bottles that we've had shared, whether it was one that just kind of occurred, I hammered it back. Well, I hammered it back, not in the same way. I wore that bottle out while I was working in the garage or something like that. But most of the bottles that are in here are ones that specifically sought out, or ones that had a special story of some sort behind them. So you just kind of play with it, and I recommend everybody go and just get yourself one bottle that you maybe you like the look of, and then just continue to throw stuff in it. So this used to be a Cayo.
I was going to say, it looks like a Cayo bottle.
Cayo bottle. So I've got one somewhere in here.
Up there, top left.
Top left, yeah. I can't reach it without knocking everything over. But basically the exact same bottle, but it's got this very nice, simple, bright orange. It was the first smoked Japanese whiskey I think we'd ever had. Or at least that I'd ever had.
I think, I agree. If I remember right, it was at Terex that we had at Elixir, but the peated Japanese, and Cayo makes a fantastic product too. If you're ever on the fence about trying something in a different country other than Scotland or American bourbon or whatever, Japanese whiskey across the board is good. I don't think I've ever had a bad Japanese whiskey.
Because there are no regulations.
They can just do whatever.
Fun fact: you don't even have to be done in Japan for it to be Japanese whiskey. Yeah. You just have to do something in the way that they do it, and you can call it Japanese whiskey.
They're fairly lax, but in the way of the Japanese, they do it right. Yeah. And Cayo is definitely one of those that they just do a wonderful job. Everything I've had Cayo is fantastic, and I keep several of their bottles on hand. So if I ever go for a Japanese, that would be the one.
Yeah, fantastic. And like I said, eventually this will become full. Maybe. We'll see. I guess I need to have more bottles where I open them and then I share them with somebody. Right. But it's kind of funny. That's almost the same color. That's pretty close.
That is pretty close.
That's pretty close. Need a woman with more cones and rods in her eye to tell me exactly how off that is. But you were talking about something earlier. I think I made a comment about Maker's Mark, and it made me think. My mother-in-law and her husband went by Maker's Mark earlier this year. Would have been sometime in the fall, and you and I both joined the ambassadors program years and years ago.
Yep.
And I usually forget about it, but at least once a year I remember back that I'm part of it.
Yeah.
It's normally about the time that they send you the Christmas gift, and they went up there and they just asked. They were like, "Hey, so like, he's got a barrel. Like, do you, any idea how long it's got left in it?" And I want to say they said that the earliest it would be ready was like late spring would be the earliest it could be ready. But they go to flavor and color there, so it could be longer. Like I think they quote you like 5 to 8 years.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there is normally where it happens. So hopeful that we'll get an email or something like that within the next little bit, saying we can go up there, do our own bottle dip, grab a couple bottles out of that barrel.
Yeah.
And then bring those home. And those will be another one of those special bottles
right.
that you don't open up very often.
Yeah, we signed up close enough together. I was hoping we might be on the same barrel, but we were not far off.
Yeah, our barrel serial numbers were like 1 or 2 off.
Yeah, they're very close, but yeah, I think the last time I logged on and checked, it had another like 1 to 2 years or something left on it, and I checked earlier this year, so which I think sat right around that 7-year mark from when we signed up. So yeah, but that should be coming up fairly soon, and we'll definitely have to get a hold of those.
Yeah, the pin for this year was very, very cool. It's in my watch box.
Okay.
Remind me to show you that.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
But this is fantastic. I like this a lot. Very, very flavorful.
Well, as we finish this off, what we could do is go ahead and call it on this episode. Cut it and start part 2 for the Blackadder. What do you think?
There you go. We're double dipping.
Yeah, double dipping because we're at nearly an hour. So.
Yeah, well, most of that's not real time anyway. I got to keep the part where I ran off to fix the bottle.
Yeah, because I gave a nice little.
You gave fantastic
entrance
monologue during that. There's always a little bit at the beginning that we sort of play around with.
Call it a segue, as we kind of just get things opened up. And
I've got a fairly bastardized set going on. Everything's there's small improvements as we move along.
Sure.
But technology doesn't always like you. So
no.
So I was trying to think of a clever name for this episode. I was thinking we talked a lot about personal philosophies, so I was thinking like personal philosophy, and there's a word in whiskey that starts with like a PH.
Phenols.
That's the word. So this is going to be probably personal philosophies and phenols.
Yeah.
Will be the episode of this.
Okay, I like it.
So yeah, it's nice, clever, quick. So
perfect.
Fantastic. And that works with Galileo because he was all spacey too. So
spacey. That's a very good word, but
gravity. Drop your favorite fact about Galileo down in the comments.
Yeah.
And we appreciate you as always. Sir, would you like to start the sign off this time?
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, this has been Brothers in Whiskey. I'm Cage.
And I'm Taylor.
All right. And until next time,
cheers.
Slàinte mhath.